Jerry, now in his second term, Jerry's now in his second term representing the 19th Assembly District since his election in November of 2008. And he's proven himself to be a whirlwind of a legislator, having introduced numerous bills to the California State Legislature. In the 2009-2010 legislative session, 20 of his bills passed out of the legislature, with 95% of them receiving bipartisan support. That's really something, bipartisan, and that's the answer in everything, folks. Including measures that address government efficiency, consumer protection, the environment, and public safety. Jerry chairs the Majority Caucus in the Assembly and is a member of the Assembly Speaker's leadership team, where he is responsible for negotiating key issues and guiding legislative priorities. As a member of the newly formed Committee on Improving State Government, well, you've got your work cut out there. Jerry has been participating in hearings throughout the state, developing reforms that will make government more efficient and transparent. Chairing the Health and Human Services Budget Subcommittee and the Select Committee on Biotechnology, he has tackled some of the most pressing issues facing California, including health care and economic development. He also serves on the Agricultural, Business, Professions and Consumer Protection, Government Organization, Natural Resources, and Public Safety Committees. He has fought to preserve thousands of acres of parks, open space, and coastal areas in San Mateo County, while working to set tough limits on air pollution and global warming emissions. Prior to his election to the Assembly, Jerry served 17 years in local government, first as a member of the San Mateo City Council, and for 10 years as San Mateo County Supervisor. As a supervisor, Jerry has led the effort to expand health insurance coverage to every child in San Mateo County without raising taxes. He helped foster a healthy local business climate, and he helped deliver a balanced budget for San Mateo County with a fair approach of cuts, belt tightening, and for increases where appropriate. He has served on a number of regional boards, including the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, the Trans-Bay Terminal Joint Powers, and the Caltrain Joint Powers Authority, the San Mateo County Transit District, and the San Mateo Medical Center. He's a graduate of UC Berkeley, received his teaching credential from San Francisco State, and is currently a business owner, and his wife, Sky. He and Jerry reside, or rather, Jerry and Sky reside in San Mateo. Let's all welcome Jerry Hill.
Thank you, Barbara. That's wonderful. I just want to know why Mary Ann did have nice weather last month. And I don't know. I don't want to ask for the answer. I don't want to know the answer. With the state, it's always raining, I guess, is the problem. But thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come today, because it is so much fun. And Barbara, thank you for everything. And I'm always touched by other elected officials, people who have given, who are in the room and who are with us, and Connie, for your past service on the school board. It just really warms me, and I just want you to know how much I think we all appreciate you, like Don and Carol and Terry, Mary Ann, Sue, for your work, and Mike and Wendy for your leadership on the school board, and Carol for your hard work, and Gina, thank you, because it's a tough job today. And it was a lot easier when we had a lot of money and when people weren't as polarized as they are today. And that has created so much of the disharmony. So I just want you to know that it's an honor to serve with you in public service. And thank you. We are going to talk about the state today. And what I would like to do is kind of start with a quote. And this was something that was said a few years ago by a former Senate Majority Leader, Barry Keene. And his comments in reference to California were, "We are living in 21st century California with early 20th century ideas and 19th century institutions." And that's the problem. That's why we are struggling today with what we have, which I've kind of coined, and I think you've heard it before, it is the perfect storm. We're seeing all of these things, the confluence of every aspect coming together. The many factors, the recession that we've seen, the deep recession, the fact that it's not coming out. I chaired, brought the Democratic caucus together last week, and we had a 2-day summit discussing kind of priorities for the year in the legislature, and certainly looking at the economy. We had a few people. Christine Romer came, who is President Obama's former chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, and a couple of other economists to kind of talk about this recession. And the interesting part is that the comments from all of them were that this is unlike anything we've seen, we know that. But the problem and the challenge is the length of time it's going to take to get out. And the fact that with economic growth, as we're seeing in the gross domestic product at about 3% or a little under, that's not enough. Because every other recession, when we get out, that first year, right when we turn the corner, it's 6%, it's 5% GDP. And that will bring the unemployment back quickly. But with 2 and 3% GDP growth, we're not going to see unemployment drop to any level that is going to be sustainable or to bring people to jobs and get them back to work. That's really the problem. And we don't see that for 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years in the future before that changes. So that's really the struggle that we're faced with. So we have that unique circumstance. And then we have a tax system in the state that is unusual among many, because the revenue that comes into the state comes from, as you know, from a few very sources, just 3 main ones. Sales tax, affected by the recession, corporate income tax, affected drastically and quickly by the recession, and personal income tax, affected drastically and quickly by the recession. Those 3 sources of income is what drives the state economy, or the state government. And those dropped considerably, fast and rapidly when the recession started. So when you have those issues that come into play. And then we have a problem, as you know, in California, which is the ballot box budget. In the initiative process, which we all value, and some of the reforms that I want to talk about and mention are related to the initiative, and we're going to see some changes, or there'll be some measures working their way through the legislature this year that will address some of the initiative process to try and improve exactly how it works so we can have more transparency in it. But when you look at the state budget, 7 to 8% of the state budget today is the debt service on the bonds that we've all voted for in the past. 7 to 8%, that's close to $6-7 billion a year is related to the debt service. Now that's, whether you liked it or didn't like the issue, we're paying for it. And that means we sold about $60 billion of bonds. But and that's what's accounted for that debt service.